Accept that record. Fred's coming in. Good to see Fred here.
Good to see Fred. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Let's get going. So I hope everybody's well. Like I just mentioned, several people checking in saying they can't make it. They have other things. Look, I really appreciate those messages. If you can't make it, it's fine. That's why we record these. They live in infamy on the back end. So you have the resource tool available. We try to title them so you have an idea what the show is about and put the date. So at least, you know, if you weren't here that date, you can catch up on it. And typically give everyone the topic up front so you know what it is. So before I get going, I just wanted to congratulate, neither one of them are on here tonight yet, Bruce and Taylor. They just did a fabulous collaboration together on Saturday night. I know that Rod was there to film and Riley was there, but I spent a little time to watch them kick this thing off. And when you think about two individuals and the businesses that they're in and the things that they've done, I don't want to say it's the least likely to collab, but they realize, hey, we've got something in common here and we could easily work together. And I don't know how they formulated the original discussions, but what came about is that Taylor sells a concealed purse and Bruce teaches firearms. And they decided, hey, let's host a course collaboratively and teach individuals. And I don't know what a sellout would have been for them, but I think they had 18 people there in total for this clinic, which is a really good number. We brought in 20 chairs for them to use, so they basically filled the house. And the feedback that I received from a couple people today over at the shop was what a phenomenal opportunity to learn more about safe gun handling, tips and tricks. And I love that Taylor was very specific about her business, why she's in business, and the value proposition she's bringing to women in business, specifically because women have been overlooked in concealed carry, which also shows me that she did her research. And we're going to talk about research a little bit later on, but she knew where the gap was in the business and she went right after it. And to listen to her talk about it in front of a group of women, and they're all nodding their heads like, yeah, you're right, was pretty cool. So, and also, I'll give them credit too for over delivering. The owner of the property, she's one of those people that always wants to feed people and make sure that they've got snacks or whatever. And she texted me, she says, do you think they're bringing snacks? I said, I'm pretty sure, but when I get there, I'll let you know. And Taylor had laid out this beautiful table of, appetizers and flowers and candles and, all kinds of great things. I'm like, of course, Taylor did this. She over delivered. So I was able to tell the owner, like, yeah, she's got snacks covered. I sent a beautiful picture of the table. So just congratulations all around for the work that they did together. So, Rod, any comments on your observation there?
Yeah, my big takeaway, and I absolutely love this. I was helping Taylor pack some of her stuff out, and Bruce got with her afterwards, and he said, Taylor, he said, great job. He said, I'm a believer in after actions reports. And I am too. I'm a fundamental believer in after actions. He said, so, the good, the bad, the ugly, what we did right, what we could do better. Do you want to do that right now afterward, or should we get together on Monday and do it? And so literally while they were packing up, they're already making an appointment to, sit down and evaluate what they did, what they could do better, and what they can do next time, because there other opportunities came up in the course of that evening. It was pretty amazing to just sit back and be a watcher and not a participant. But to me, the big takeaway was that they're doing it so professionally, and they're using each other. One iron sharpens iron, and there's two sources of iron in that room, but they're also like flint and iron, because they're creating fire together. It was really a magical moment to just watch that professionalism come together. So anyway, that's my takeaway, and a good learning experience for everybody else too.
Yeah, it's awesome. So anyways, just think about what that looks like for you and collaboration with other people in this group that you might get to know over time. So tonight's topic is doing things right the first time. And I've got several examples of this, and it's really appropriate to have this topic tonight. I'm wearing this hat. It's called The brand on the hat says Mendid, MENDID. I threw this shirt on. I got it in the mail today. And the person that owns this company, his name is Malcolm. And Malcolm was one of the original guys with No Fear back in the 90s, early 2000s. And part of that surf culture, you know, he was Jeremy McGrath's manager for a little while. If you know Jeremy McGrath, he was a professional dirt biker. And Malcolm started a company, of all things, it was a men's underwear company. And the brand was called Ithaca. And if you shop at any of these, you know, like a Nordstrom's that's got a young boys or young men's sports department, you'll find Ithaca there. You'll find it at Sportsman and different places. But Ithaca underwear took off in the extreme sports category. They had every surfer, dirt biker, race car driver. They sponsored my team for a little while. And it just was a great revolutionary product in that environment with an edge to it where they had sponsored these pro athletes. Well, Malcolm, and I don't know the fine line details of it, but I understand how these things happen. Malcolm didn't build the infrastructure with his partners very well. And what wound up happening is his partners kicked him out of the company. He started it. It was his baby, built it up, brought partners in, raised capital. And next thing he knew, he was out of a job. You know, and imagine that as your brand is on the rise, taking off, you know, taking the nation by storm, and then you get kicked out from your own company. Now, if you know my story, I left my own company as well because the investors wanted to go a different direction. And it was very similar to what happened with Malcolm, is the infrastructure that I had put in place allowed them to gain more control than what I would have wanted to have in the beginning days. So, again, it's appropriate that I've got Malcolm's hat on because he started this new company, men's underwear, with a little bit of catch on it, and it's called Mendid. And I'm watching this story unfold, and he's been grinding for about the last year. And I've noticed in the last month that he's been really pushing hard. You know, he's turning up the steam on his social media. And I reached out, I said, hey man, how's it going? Looks like things are taking off for you. And he wound up sending me a little care package based on that conversation. But, you know, what I see is he's doing things right. You know, he included the stickers, the hat, the t-shirt, and some product and a nice note. What's up, Jim? Love and miss you, brother. Great to see you doing your good vibes up in Montana, right? Merry Christmas. My guess is that all his customers probably get some type of handwritten note and some stickers, and you know, along with their product. I doubt they'll get the free hat and t-shirt, but as he builds this again, my hope and prayer is that he has built it right on the back end. And these are some of the things that I want to talk about now. And that, again, the topic for the night is doing it right the first time. So I had the opportunity to spend a little bit of time with one of our members today talking about their business project, and they were in the middle of writing their business plan for the project. I thought, this is great. You're building a foundation, you're building out what you want to do. You've thought through all these things, and yeah, there's hurdles and obstacles and deep dives, but the foundation will be there for you to do it right and have all the answers or know where you're going because you're building that roadmap. And so kudos to that person for starting the foundation, fleshing out the ideas, deciding if that's what they want to really do, and overcome the early hurdles that you'll find. So I'm going to give you, I don't know, 8 or so tips on how to start doing things right. So the first one is going to be plan and set clear goals. And that goes again back to the business plan that we always talk about, is building out that business plan. My example of that, as you guys know, I do consulting for a living, and I work for corporations or small companies and entrepreneurs. And I'm on a project right now. It's almost been a month, and it is a online Wagyu meat company where they'll be selling their product online. They actually do a little bit of that, but they're building that business out. So when I got there, I said, well, where's your business plan? Let's take a look at that. Let me see how I can help you. We don't have one. Okay. What's your infrastructure? We don't have any. What about your strategy for the next 12 months? we don't really have that either. So I start finding all these holes in this business, right? Good for me because I'm the consultant. I'm gonna deliver all those things. Bad for them because they've already burned through a bunch of money trying to figure things out along the way. So in other words, money comes in, where do we spend it? Well, they don't know. They don't have a plan. They don't have a strategy. They haven't built out their marketing. So the money just, it lands and goes back out for useless things, which I see more often than not because they don't know where it should go or what's going to make the most difference in their business. So going back to planning and setting clear goals, number one. Number two, conduct thorough market research on what you're doing. Okay, really important so that you can go after that target as you're building your business out. I see Bruce on the call now. Bruce has had a lot of conversations about who he thinks his target customer is in his training and what that looks like. And he knows the type of customer he wants to train based on his own observations, right? Because I'm using this meat company as an example, also because I like to keep the business inside this network, I reached out to Rachel to put together a marketing plan for this company. Basically, it's a web development plan to grow this company's SEO and all those other things. Well, what's the first thing that Rachel included in her pitch to me for the company that I'm representing? Now, remember, I said conduct thorough market research. So right under objective, she's got 10 bullet points on her own market research that she did in the industry so that she can show the value that she'll bring to the table. I'm going to read them off to you just so you know the level that she dug in on this and the level that you should expect either yourself to build out your business, or if you're bringing somebody on board, you're paying somebody or you're collaborating with somebody, don't be afraid to go to this level of detail, right? So she starts off by saying, support the company name with building a strong e-commerce business through website support and marketing across an entire integrated marketing ecosystem. We'll focus building trust and focus on areas to increase sales based on buying behaviors such as, here comes the market research. Again, she's just pitching for us to hire her to do our marketing. But because she did the research, all of a sudden I'm going, why wouldn't we use her, right? So bullet point number one, 81% of consumers say they need to be able to trust the brand to buy from them. That's actually good for all of us that sells anything, right? 30% annual growth rate of online meat sales. 35% of all online meat sales are beef, as opposed to poultry and pork. 70% of online meat shoppers prefer to buy from dedicated online meat retailers rather than general marketplaces. Interesting. 45% of online meat shoppers use their mobile devices to make purchases. Another interesting point. Imagine that. She's building out my website. What if she didn't have the ability to build out a program that looked good on my mobile phone, right? So Samantha taught me this last year in all her web development. She's like, oh, the website's done, but I got to develop the mobile side of it. I'm like, what does that mean? She's like, well, it's got to look good on your mobile device. There's a separate way to program that. Now, most of the time now it's a toggle switch, but you also have to make sure it looks good there. So if I realize that 45% of my shoppers are shopping on a mobile device, I better make sure my mobile device program looks good, right? And a lot of people make that mistake. 70% of online meat shoppers are influenced by customer reviews and ratings. Another interesting point. Tells me that I better include some reviews and ratings on my website. What are people saying? Maybe that's part of my social media strategy. Next point, 60% of customers who buy meat online become repeat customers, showcasing customer loyalty and opportunity for a subscription-based model. Now she just gave me an idea to make more sales. Subscription-based model. Love it. And then the last one is 25% of online meat shoppers subscribe to regular deliveries. This is quickly gaining popularity. So when I look at this proposal from her, she's obviously done the thorough market research. She's also done me a favor because I mentioned already that this company I'm working for has not laid all these foundational elements out. Boy, am I going to look good when I present them this and give them all the insights to online shoppers, right? So look at your own businesses. Do it right from the beginning. Conduct a thorough market research, okay? And again, that means understanding your target market, industry trends, competitors, all those things, right? All right, number 3, build a strong team. I think this is probably an easy one for this group. Everybody that's here has committed to having a team around you or a community around you because you're like-minded entrepreneurs. Don't be afraid to do what Bruce and Taylor has done, or what I've done with several members in this group, is collaborate, work with each other, and build that team around you. You'll be surprised, even in a small group of 20 or less, how many things that you can collaborate on and bring business to one another, right? So build a strong group of talented people around you. And I like to look around once in a while myself, like, who am I spending time with in my business? Do I have the right partners? Are they in it for the right reasons? Do they align with my values? Do I need to update who I'm doing business with, right? So surround yourself with people that are like-minded. Next one. And again, this, you all play a role in this, and that's invest in continuous learning. Now, if you haven't noticed by now, if you've been around for a while, you know every one of these calls starts with 20 or 30 minutes of learning something that Rod, myself, or Rachel have learned along the way. And it's up to you to apply that at the appropriate time, take good notes, look back at the older calls, look at the materials, because these are tools, as I've said all the time, I paid the dummy tax, so you don't have to. We're giving you the tools through ongoing learning here, right? The other half of these calls is for you to ask questions, and hopefully not only will you get a good answer, but the people that are on the call will learn from your questions. But don't stop here. Continue this beyond these calls. Grab a new book. You know, we've got a great library on our back end of books that are worth reading, but talk to other business leaders. What are they reading? How are they improving their skills? How are they learning more about just anything in general that might relate? Or maybe it doesn't relate, but it's going to give you a new skill, right? So don't stop learning. Spend time in the learning process. It's also important, if you can, get to conventions or different things where you can collaborate or meet other people that are doing the same thing. Maybe they're out of your state. It's a non-compete, but it's always great to get in the same room with other people, right? So invest in continuous learning. It'll keep you tuned into the industries too. All right, next point. Develop a robust budget. You're going to start a business or you're in business, put together a solid budget plan. Know where you're going. Know what that budget looks like, where you're going to spend every dollar. And if you make extra money, where does that go? If you need to raise money, know exactly where that money you're raising is going into the business. And then once you've got that all mapped out, you can evaluate whether that's the best use of that money based on your earlier business plan, the feedback that you've received, what's important to the growth of your business. Knowing exactly where that money goes is critical. And having a budget is the foundation for that. It blows me away how many companies that I've worked with in the last year that don't have a budget. You know, they're entrepreneurs, they've got a quick startup, they're making money. You know, it's one of those things, it's a tedious task. And typically the accountant is overloaded, or they're a contract accountant, which typically they don't build the budget for you. They don't own the company. So build out a robust budget so you know where all those dollars go. Typically what I do is build out the budget. And usually my biggest line item in my world is the marketing budget. So on an Excel spreadsheet, I'll add a tab, and then I'll just build out what marketing departments look like. You know, what I'm spending, whether that's for video, social media, web, advertising, point of sale, all those items that fall in that marketing tab, I'll drop them into a marketing Excel sheet, and then I'll take those monthly column totals, and then I'll plug it into the budget. So I know exactly how much money I need for marketing, and I know exactly where I'm spending that at. The other stuff, you can do the same thing, like operational costs, sales costs, commissions. Don't forget to put commissions in a budget. But building that out will help you succeed down the road when those dollars come in and knowing where they go, and you can really target them. Okay, number 6, implement effective systems and processes. This goes back to the client that I have right now. 4 very, very successful individuals in their own worlds came together to start this online beef company. There's no reason why it should fail, but yet it could fail because they don't have any processes in place. The one word I keep getting from them is alignment. they don't feel aligned in what they're doing, right? Because they've all had success in their own worlds. How do you get four successful people together in a room and aligned to move forward? Sometimes they have so much apathy for one another, nobody's leading the charge, right? So make sure that you implement a system and a process on how your business is going to move forward as you add team members or as you go about your daily process of conducting that business. You know, how, if you're doing it all, how much time do you spend in each category of doing it all? Because it's easy to get sucked into one thing and forget about the other stuff, right? Accounting usually gets left on the back burner because nobody likes that. Maybe Riley likes accounting, I don't know. But you know, building these systems will play a role down the road, as well as when you hire people, you have systems in place where you can hand them those systems and say, hey, this is how we do this. And you'll thank yourself later for having those systems in place, especially as you bring people onto your team. I was consulting for a mezcal company 2 years ago, and as they started to go out in the marketplace, they were just making sales calls and having successes and randomly catching the buyers. I said, look, take the time to write down the buyer's name, phone number, the schedule that they're working, or the day of the week that you caught them, because down the road, you're going to want to be able to hand over this information to a salesperson that you might hire. And that'll make their jobs easier. You know, on those follow-up calls, they'll know when to target the buyer, who the buyer is. They won't have to ask these questions over again. They can hit the ground running. That's about as basic of a system as it is, you know, writing down some names, whether it's on a spreadsheet online or just a piece of paper. But by doing that, you'll save yourself work down the road. So think about systems and processes as you go. Next point, don't be afraid to ask people what they think about what you're doing, what they think about your business, what they think about your marketing or where you're going. Get feedback from people and create an environment where they're happy to give you that feedback. And it's not an opportunity to be defensive. It's an opportunity to listen, thank them for their time, thank them for their feedback, and bring it back home and analyze what they've said. Because oftentimes an outsider can bring more value to what you're doing if you took the time just to listen. What's great about my business as a consultant, I've learned this, is when I jump into a new business, I want to get right into it because I've got a fresh set of eyes. I know that the things that I'll see in the beginning will start to fade away in the coming months. And I typically tell the client, like, hey, I'm going to come on strong. I'm going to tell you everything I'm noticing and things that need to be addressed, because as I get comfortable here, I might overlook the things that you've overlooked because of that level of comfort. So if you ask people for honest feedback, you'll probably get a similar experience as some honest feedback, quick and to the point, without, you know, diluting it over time. All right. And then the last point is, as you build out your plan, don't forget about the end game, and that's your customer. And giving that 100% customer satisfaction or experience at the end of the journey. And I wouldn't be afraid to build that into your original plan. So, you know, when you sit down to build this out, think about the customer journey and what their experience is at the end and how you want them to be treated, right? What does that look like for them? You know, think about your like retail business. I know a couple of you in here have retail businesses or are looking at retail. If a customer goes into your shop to buy something, or they buy something online from you, are they going to get the hat and the stickers and the handwritten note? Make that a part of your business plan, that this is what the customer experience is going to look like when they walk out the door or when their order arrives. So you don't think about it last minute, that it's already a part of what you do. You build that into your budget. You build that into your marketing expense. You know, you invest in that. So think about it all the way through and prioritize your customer and their experience and what you want them to feel when they take that product home, or when they use your product, or when they walk away from you, or after they've had that consulting conversation, or whatever that looks like, right? So, all right, well, that's looks like 8. So 8 good ways to do it right the first time. Again, I love when people don't as a consultant, because then I can go in there and help them clean it up. And I know what these steps look like. I just go down my list here and go, okay, let's address this, right? Let's avoid that for you so that you can do it right the first time. By the way, there is a business plan template on the back end. There's a marketing template on the back end, or marketing support materials. If you don't know where they're at, let us know. There's a budget template on the back end. Again, if you don't know where it's at, let me know. I'll email it to you directly. If you need something customized, I'm happy to help you with that, right? So these tools are there for you and beyond. So, all right, Rod, I'll let you weigh in a little bit.
Thanks, Jim.
Yep.
Boy, there's a lot in there. Thanks. That was a phenomenal 8-step process. And before I forget, when we get off this call tonight, you and I need to talk, because I just had a great idea for your Wagyu company, little financial endeavor there. So first I want to talk about number 3, building a strong team. When you're building a team, I think one of the most important things is to know your own weaknesses and surround yourself with those people that can offset your weaknesses. It's okay to know that you're not perfect. So find somebody that can do that. If it's in budgeting, if it's in marketing, or whatever that happens to be, know where your weaknesses are and just be honest with it. Secondly, when you're talking about developing a robust budget, accountants are fundamental, because you can leave a lot of money on the table if you're not doing your books correctly. And I'll tell a quick story. I went to a seminar on a totally different business, but it was a retired IRS auditor that was doing a portion of this seminar. And he gave me one sentence that made the $1,000 trip worthwhile. He said, it's when you're doing home office work, he said, the question isn't, can I deduct this? The question is, how can I deduct this? And that changed my whole mindset. And when I, do my budgets and I'm taking stuff to the accountant, I always have that in mind. And it literally will save you thousands of dollars, if not tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on the size of your business. So again, when you're developing your budget, make sure you're budgeting for that extra accounting model and paying for your taxes and tax preparation from a professional. If you're doing it yourself, that's fine, but still have another set of eyes on it. The bigger you get, the more apt you're going to want a second set of eyes on it. I heard a thing in that regard also when you talked about implementing systems and processes. My mind immediately went to hiring, because you can get yourself in all kinds of hot water and trouble when you start growing and hiring different people and having that stuff set up properly with employee handbooks and making sure you're doing it properly and in order. And the tip that I will give you here is hire slow, making sure you get the right people, and fire fast. Don't let people get settled in. If you know it's not a fit, be honest with yourself and with them, and cut those ties right away, and it will save everybody hassle. And I really like you, and don't forget about the customer. That almost should have been number 1, Jim, because what all of us do in all of our businesses, no matter what business we're in here on this call tonight, we are solving someone else's problem. That's what we do. So we should approach all 8 of these things with, how does that fit in with solving other people's problems? Not our problem, not our business problem. How are we solving other people's problems as we go through those 8 steps? And I think that's phenomenal. And then the last thing, and this is kind of hard for me, especially because I'm a parent. I want to be in advice mode. I want to help people, right? I'm a fixer. I'm a problem solver. I like to look at things and I'm challenged by them. So I'm always looking for the end run. And I know men, it's not that we're bad listeners, but we tend to want to fix as opposed to want to console. and I'm real good at that. So my wife and I developed this attitude many decades ago now. And it was, advice unasked for is criticism. I think it was Ann Landers or Dear Abby or something that originally came up with it, but advice unasked for is criticism. So I don't offer advice unless it's solicited. And then I will be totally honest and upfront. But I hold back on that part of it, because if you want advice, I'm all here for you, but I'm not just going to offer it. But if you ask, be prepared to, like Jim said, listen and learn, because a lot of people aren't going to give you honest advice unless you ask for honest advice. So those are my takeaways, Jim. I think it was absolutely phenomenal. A great job. And I'm going to give a quick example here of the advice unasked for. I was an observer at Bruce and Taylor's event, and she asked, she said, well, what did you think, Dad? You know, just the overall thing. And I said, well, now that you've asked, and I'd already done a page of notes, right? But I only gave her highlights. And one of them was, when you were doing name tags, I said it was in pen. Everyone was writing their name in pen on these name tags. I said, as a presenter, I like to look around the room and be able to see somebody's name right away, you know, big, bold, and that sort of thing. And I said, instead of having a pen, use a black marker. She said, I had a black marker. It was right there. And I said, well, there was also a pen right there for signing up for something else. And everyone started using the pen. Mm-hmm. So it's little things. It's like, how do you change that game? Is don't offer a pen, or have it in a totally separate location, or make sure you're specific about, this is my expectation for the name tags, marker for name tags, pen for the other thing. So little things like that make a difference and can help or hinder when you're doing stuff like that. So I'm going to let it go at that. Hopefully that gets other people's thought lines going here, and I'll turn it over. Thanks, Jim.
Yep. Thanks, Rod. Also, Heidi shared her website. So if you guys want to make note of that, Heidi, great looking website. Obviously, I'm not digging into it deep, but just on first blush, well done on that. So keep it up.
Snow Ghost is the one that I went to. I had some people do it first, and I went to more professional Snow Ghost. But there's a lot of things that I need to put into it right now that I'm trying to get there to do. So soon, this week, hopefully I get those things done.
Good. Make a list. Get it done. Check the boxes, right?
Right here.
Perfect.
All day.
Perfect. Hey, Bruce wasn't on the call when I complimented him and Taylor for their event on Saturday. But one thing I want to say about Bruce, and he won't mind, I'm pretty sure of it. Otherwise, he'll just kick my butt when he sees me next. You know, Bruce, when he started the presentation, he talked about his stature, you know, being a big guy, intimidating. You know, he used to have a burly beard, and, you know, people were a little bit scared to, you know, he basically probably did his job really well. You wouldn't think that somebody of that stature and that mindset, especially with Bruce's experience, would be one to take a lot of advice. But I've noticed Bruce on these calls, writing down a lot of things, adding value to the calls. But the first couple of things that Bruce said in his presentation the other night was he reiterated some suggestions I had given him, and he wasn't too proud to say, hey, Jim Riley told me I should be doing this, so I'm going to do it, right? And I just wanted to compliment him from that, not because he brought me up and the advice that he was giving or that I'd given him, but the fact that he listened and he incorporated it into his presentation. And I'll tell you, Bruce, just save me the call later. And if you've got questions for tonight or on anything else, please raise your hands and we'll get to them. I'd love to answer any questions. But Bruce, what I want to tell you is that you gave a much more thorough and I don't know, just an in-depth presentation. And I was more inclined to listen to you again, based on your introduction, what you said about yourself. And I realized, man, this guy is worth listening to. He's clearly been out there. And the value that you brought on top of Taylor reading your very brief bio that she had, I just thought, you know what? I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad that I'm listening to this person. And you know what? Whatever I paid for tonight was worth it, because you've brought a lifetime of law enforcement to the clinic that you're teaching. And I think that that's a good lesson for anybody. Maybe just because it's a topic, Heidi, you know, looking at your website, you obviously have a lot of experience in the field that you're in. Don't be afraid to talk about that up front, especially, you know, with a new client or in a class setting or whatever that looks like, because you've earned it. You know, you've done the work. You're in the position of authority to teach something and bring value to somebody, and you've earned it. You've earned that right to say, this is who I am, and this is why I can help you do this. So Bruce, great job putting the ego aside, and being very honest and forward about, how you were presenting yourself and your clinic. And I enjoyed what I was there for. I had another engagement, so I had to leave early, but I enjoyed what I heard and I got some great feedback. With that being said, I had another conversation with a client this morning, one of my private clients, and I just want to remind everybody, because we're here as entrepreneurs or we're looking to take that next step in our lives. I want to remind you that you can do what you're looking to do. You've got experience. You've achieved enough success to be here. You've got enough drive to be here and to listen to what we're talking about and to better your knowledge or to increase or improve your knowledge of whatever it is you're seeking to do. But you can do those things. Oftentimes, even in these settings, we get a little bit of that imposter syndrome. Like, who am I to do that? Well, guess what? You've done the work. And I was reminded listening to Bruce, like, God, this guy deserves to be up in front of the room. So whatever scenario you're in right now, especially as, we're talking about building our foundation or improving our website or whatever that looks like for you, just know that you've earned those stripes. We can be and do whatever we want to be. And excuse me, on the other side of that, I built out my business plan, my life plan over 5 years ago with Samantha and what that would look like to live in Montana. And we're living that 100%. And I have to look, at my life regularly to go, wow, this is exactly what we intended to do. Yesterday, we took off as a family to go to Coeur d'Alene and go to the Polar Express on the cruise ship up there, and came right back today. Today's a Monday. Most people are clocking in at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. and jumping into their work week. Well, we got invited last minute. We were able to just check out. We were able to do it financially. We were able to do it with the time and our resources and all those things. So the rewards of having a plan, doing it right, and building it out, I get to live that. And I wanted to serve as a reminder to all of you that if you do it right, you can have exactly whatever it is you're looking for. My example is what I was looking for: as much time as possible with my kids, with my family, doing the things that we want to do together. We're able to live that. So any questions? Throw the hands up. I will start to wrap it up early. Rod, I didn't look at the schedule, what we're talking about next week. Bruce, go ahead. Unmute, buddy.
Hey, real quick, Jim, first off, thanks for the discussions, the after action report that we did last time. One of the things I'm like, how do I introduce this? And it was really cool. I'm just sitting there saying, Jim Riley said I ought to do this. And for me, it was a natural segue into the opening. I did one of these before, and Jim said it'd be better if I tried this. So I'm going to try something different. And it was really sort of cool. And it just sort of gave me a stepping stone into it. The other thing is, I can't say enough good about Taylor. The whole thing about what Taylor did Saturday night was, hey, Bruce doesn't like to talk about himself, so I'm going to read this stuff. And it was a great segue, and I really appreciate it. So, Rod, I'm going to give you a call at some point. I want to pick your brain about some of that stuff, the stuff you had, the notes and stuff, because like that magic marker thing, and it's somewhat embarrassing. Here I am in a room full of women, and they all got these name tags on their chest, and I'm looking at their chest, and I can't see the damn writing. And I'm like, yeah, not again. That's not happening. I'll bring a Sharpie, and I got Sharpies in my med bag and everything else. Any rate, it was a good experience. The more you do, you get better with it. And I actually sort of got pumped up. I'm going to talk to Taylor. I think there is a market there that is untouched that really needs some assistance. So thanks for the encouragement, guys.
You're welcome. Again, great job. When you're at somewhere else where they don't know who I am, just tell them you got it from your coaching group, right? Young Entrepreneur Syndicate. We'd appreciate it. Riley, you had your hand up.
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Perfect. First, I wanted to, like we said, Taylor's not here, but I was at Taylor and Bruce's event, and I just wanted to give some feedback. I thought it was great. I left there 100% feeling like I had made progress towards my confidence and independence in being a firearm owner. So I would absolutely, if there was a course that was built, like was building on what we went to, I would definitely be interested in that. I thought it was a very great event, and I thought it was set up really well, and the presentation was great and everything. So that's my little bit of feedback. And then I just had one quick question. Jim, earlier you said that on the back end of Yes, that there was a budget template, and I don't see it on the website, but I don't know if maybe I'm just missing it.
I'll email it to you, and if it's not
Okay.
on there, I'll send it to Rachel to have her upload it.
Okay.
I just updated a budget template over the weekend for that other company, so I'm happy to send that to you. You can add, if you're familiar with Excel, you can add more columns and lines and all that stuff, but it'll give you an idea of what you should be looking at least for a start. So happy to send that to you. I've also got Heidi looking for that as well. So I'll get that over to you both, and then we'll make sure that it's up.
Perfect.
All right. I'm going to bring up another small announcement while we're waiting for any more hands to go up. And if we don't get any more hands, we'll just wrap up in a minute. But we are going to, and I hope it doesn't dissatisfy anybody, but we're going to eliminate that community platform on Jadari. If you've been on there, it just doesn't get used. I think the last person was Heidi and maybe Rachel when Heidi signed up, but we don't have a lot of interaction on there. I think the reality is we all have enough platforms to be on. And the intended purpose of that platform was for our members to collaborate with one another, to exchange information and insights. And what I've found is you're doing that on here more than you're doing on there, as well as we've got a text group, and I see you exchanging numbers and stuff there. So we're going to do away with that. And that is us just transitioning our business going, okay, didn't work the way we thought. We've had it up for about a year. And it's not going anywhere. What we will have though, is we'll be going back to that really robust website that you had put in your password to get into the back end, which was, I think, a little bit more user friendly. The documents were all laid out with some logos and stuff, and we'll have that. Now, if you're gravely disappointed that we're going to get rid of the community, send your messages in first and say, don't get rid of it. But second of all, start using it if you like it. So that's kind of where the goal is, to have that switched over in January, unless every one of you come back and says, no, I want that community platform. But at the same time, I'd really encourage you on these calls to collaborate. You can send private messages on here on these Zoom calls to somebody if you're interested in collaborating with them, or connecting. I mean, I know some of you feel left out on this event we just had up here, but Fred and Chris and a few others, Wayne, who's not on it, you guys were all at our big event down in Southern California. So I think we all have opportunities to connect based on our demographics. We are working on too, I'll say Rod at this point is working on a big event or a potential event next year. We'll see how far we get with that. And it'll probably be up in Montana if we have it our way, because we feel like it's a better fit for the guests that we're looking at having. If we don't get that guest, there'll be other options. I've got a couple up my sleeve too. So just keep an eye out. Also, if there's anything that people are needing that we're not delivering on, don't hesitate to ask or reach out to say, we're looking for this. It'd be nice to have a little bit more of this or that. So we're always looking for feedback as well. So Rod, go ahead.
Yeah. Speaking of feedback, I know that Rachel sent out a little survey on that text. So if you haven't already filled that out and gotten it back, please do. Again, feedback is important. We're on the growth curve. We don't believe to have all the answers and all the, everything the way we want it. We have an idea, but if something comes up and we need to do more research, homework, consult with other people, we will do whatever is necessary, but we need to know. So please do reach out. And while I have the platform and we've got some time, I want to reach out real quick with Chris. I saw a reel last week and I didn't think enough to actually save it and share it. And I apologize, but it was maybe it was on your site. I don't know. It was an Antiques Roadshow where somebody was having a Rolex watch that he had purchased for $375 back in the 70s. He had never worn it. And he had all the receipts. It had never been worn. And its value was over $500,000.
Yeah,
So-
that wasn't my post, but yeah, that post has been going around for a long time.
Yeah. So anyway, I just thought, well, there you go. That's right in line with, hey, this is why you do what you do. So
A little bit.
hey, I thought of you, and it said, there's that connection, right? I know enough
Yep.
about what you do. There's a connection there. So anyway,
Absolutely.
good work.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, so Rod just bought me a minute to go onto our Young Entrepreneurs Syndicate Jadari platform where the community's at. So if you go on there, there's a pages tab. You hit that tab and a drop arrow comes out, says book recommendations, video library, doc library, and shop our merchandise. On the doc library, there is a business plan template. Here's the issue, and it's part of the reason why I want to remove the community and just go back to the website, is at some point in the last couple of months, the Jadari platform had a glitch in their system. All the pictures got dropped off the website. So when you go on there, you're just going to see a placeholder for a document. And if you scroll down, it says download here, click download here, and then it'll pop you up to the actual document. So it's 2 steps to get there, but it is there. The budget template I just noticed is not on there. So we'll get that up. Fred, go ahead. Fred, you unmuted, but I can't hear you yet. All right, well, while he figures that out. Chris, stop using your kid for child labor. Fred, maybe it's your mic, bud. Okay. Anybody else while he figures that out? No, it's no problem, Fred. We're just, we want to accommodate you. You can type in your question if you want. Heidi, while I'm thinking about it, for you, both Samantha and Rachel are great resources to go through your website or to ask for help on, what might make it better. I'm sure either one of them will look at it and, give you any tips or pointers if you want it. Yep. There's also, Samantha's been really in tune to, I guess there needs to be a handicap access tab or something like that. I don't even know what the language is on that. But if you're a bigger company, you don't have it, there's been some pretty good sized lawsuits for that. So, okay.
It's handicap accessibility for your website. Super, super easy. But you don't want to be sued for not having it.
Handicap accessibility. Okay, there you go. Worth asking the question. Thank you. All right, everybody. I am gonna wrap it up here unless there's any other questions. Again, great job, Bruce and Taylor, on the collaboration. Good to see everybody. Hit us up if you have any questions. Remember, what we're doing right now, we're going to see the results of in 90 days. So get after it. It's a great time to do it when you've got some spare time around the holidays. It's funny, around the holidays, I just got a message from one of our vendors. We're getting ready to go on our Christmas break this Wednesday until January 1st. I'm like, wow, what a luxury to have the half of the entire month off, right? Well, while they're not working, I'm going to be getting ahead in some of my business. So use this time wisely. All right, good to see everybody. I'll let you go. Bye-bye.